We have already discussed some of them and some need to be discussed. So the topic that we were discussing is wind, and we are left with some of the images and some of the terminology that was remaining. And as you know, wind is also an important agent of erosion as well as deposition. And as it is written that we call the wind processes as Aeolian processes, and Aeolus terms is a Greek term uh, that is used by Greek for the god of wind. Normally, wind travels from a place of high pressure to a place of low pressure, as you guys have seen, like in certain areas where the temperature suddenly rises, and then there is a very thin air in that place, and then suddenly you see clouds are coming, and the wind actually delivers the that is carrying higher amount of precipitation reaches that place, and as a result we have the uh, start of rain in those areas where we have relatively higher temperatures. That is the basic theme, how the wind moves. And as we have discussed, summarizing our work is that wind is also an important agent of erosion, as is gravity, as is running water, as is glacial, as is waves, as is wind. However, if you consider wind compared to water or ice, it is less in terms of its power, it is less. But if you consider the scale at which the wind can form and deform the surface of earth, like over the geological time, it is more effective because it is persistent. And in those areas especially where we don't have any plants or any vegetation to hold the sediments in place, wind is very effective. And wind also have the ability to pick up some sand grains and then use those sand grains for the erosion and subsequently for the transportation. And then wherever the velocity of the wind uh, is decreased, then we have the deposition of wind. We have the process of erosion, and we have deflation and abrasion. As you know, deflation, we just move the loose sediments, and we just leave the heavy ones. We will see shortly in one of the illustrations. And however, in abrasion, the mechanical scraping of the rock occurs, like the grinding and also fast movement of sand grains along a surface causes the surface to be abraded, just like and it converts the surface into a very polished surface. Into a polished surface. And as you remember, we discussed different processes and as a result, we have the transportation in terms of saltation. As we have said, the jumping movement of sand grains over a surface, and as the sand is blasted, it turns out to be the process, we call it as saltration, attrition, during the certain attack of wind particles over a surface, and it converts the surface into weaker and weaker. Ultimately, the surface is being eroded. Then comes the suspension. Wind also carries smaller particles, and it can take the particles to greater distances, sometimes hundreds of kilometers from the place where it has been eroded. And then comes the surface creeps. Surface creep is the slow movement of sand or slow movement of sediments over the long time, and it is significant when you talk about the thousands of years or hundreds of years. So this is how normally transportation occurs. Oh, here we have an example. We have already discussed about the blowout, and in blowout we have the dry sediments that are present, and those sediments are overlying a zone that is rich in water, and this is the water table. Water table, remember, is the place where we have pore spaces that are filled with water. What happens when we have strong winds coming in and there is some vegetation, and all of the when the wind comes in, it carries the dry sediments, that is the overlying layer, and as a result it creates a depression, and we call this depression as a blowout. And you see there is a pillar in the center, and it is supported by the vegetation, and this is could be, sometime we call it as earth pillars, and sometimes they are preserved. Oh, you can see a hollow depression, and the logic behind is that it is composed of dry sediments overlying a water table, and the wind actually carries the load to a new location. Maybe here's another example of a blowout, and you can see that this area is relatively down as compared to the other area, and less vegetation, and as a result was more affected by the wind. It is common to see deflation hollows or blowouts in areas that are arid to semi-arid. Deflation is a very important process, and it changes the desert from sandy to pebbly, and it is the removal of sand particles, progressive movement of the sand particles from one place to another. And you can see that we have the pebbles coming in, and those pebbles ultimately they join and they make a surface that is just like a pavement, and we call it as a desert pavement. And we have discussed the terminology in the last class that in different areas of the world, like the Western Sahara, Eastern Sahara, and Australia, they use different terminology for the desert pavement. Here you have another example of the real example of desert pavement, and you don't see much sand now present because most of the sand over the process has already been gone, and sometime the area like this are associated with the blowout, where we have the wind that moves and just removes the unconsolidated sediments. Desert varnish is a process in which we have shining surfaces, and it is actually created as a continuous bombardment of sand over the rock surfaces, and as a result, they they present a coating on the rocks, and we call these type of rocks as desert varnish, or it is just like a polished surface. The quality of the image is not that good, but it is just like more or less darker color rocks that you find sometimes scattered in the deserts. We call it as desert varnish. Similarly, we have ventifissures or dry cants. Ventifissures, as we have discussed in the last class, are those rocks that have two or more sides that are being polished by the continuous action of the wind. And you can see this is a bigger piece, and the sides of it are highly polished, and this polish actually forms as a result of continuous bombardment of sand grains on the surface. We call this as ventifiscate or dry cants. Okay. Yardings, as you remember, is actually the uh, flat surface hills that are formed by hard and soft rock, interlaid hard and soft rock, and the wind actually carries the material, the harder and softer material, where the softer material is easily eroded by the wind, and you have long furrows or valleys that are present, and so it is just like a vertical furrows, or you can call it flat lying strata hills. We call them as yardings, and they are also very common in those areas where we have Miocene or Eocene sedimentation, and after that those areas are uplifted, and now they are subjected to the erosion by wind over thousands of years or millions of years. Zoogen is actually very similar to what we have in the yarding, but just the difference is it is just like a series of furrows and valleys, and it is actually they can sometimes be of hundreds of meters or hundreds of feet in length, and it is actually the it also happens when we have some of the sediments that are supported by the vegetation, and those that we have the valleys are actually dry, and it is just like you can see a geometry of plain, and then a little bit elevated area, and then a little downward area. Similarly, it goes and goes on for some time in kilometers. We call this as Zuegens. Misas and Butte. Misas and Butte are very similar terms, and however, some people they call these two terms to be very important in terms of geology and geography, and it is actually an isolated plateau, and there is just the difference of the size, and it is also the size and the flat top. Both have flat top. However, Mesa is low lying and covers a larger area as compared to a Butte. Butte is more vertically elevated, and it covers a smaller area, like the horizontally. It doesn't cover a larger area. Mushroom and pedestal rock we discussed in the last class, and the geology behind is that we have some harder rock, and beneath we have softer rock, and as the wind blows, it removes the softer sediments easily, and as a result we have the formation of a strange rock. We call it as mushroom or pedestal rock, And here we have few beautiful examples. Here one of them is located near the coast. You can see the sea, and this is in deep inside the desert. And you can see the support of this harder rock, that is actually the mushroom, is uh, is from a weaker formation. However, over the time, the wind erodes until sometime the harder rock has to fall. Earth pillars and Isselbergs, they are somewhat similar to what we have Misas and Views. However, earth pillars are vertically more just like the what we have normally in the buildings is like very covers a smaller horizontal area. However, vertically they are elevated, and you can find earth pillars. We are, some people also call them hudos, is also the term that they use for earth pillars. Isselberg is also the similar term to what we have the misas. Sometimes some geologists or geographers, they use the term of Isselberg to misa as well. Monolith is a rock normally of granitic or igneous origin that has been exposed and has been under the attack of wind, and sometimes it has polished surfaces, and it is normally made up of one rock type. And you can see some of these especially in the deserts in Australia, also in United States. And then there is another structure that is associated with wind erosion is the honeycomb weathering. And it also involves that in some sandstones or in some rocks we have the combination of finer and coarser materials, also weaker and stronger materials. And sometimes some of these weaker materials are actually worn off, and they are moved, and we are left with the strongest or more resistant materials. And as a result, we have the style of feathering. If you see closely, it represents very it looks like honeycomb structure. If you have seen the हनी बीज हीव्स, अगर आपने देखी हैं कभी, तो आपको बिल्कुल जो शहद की मक्खी का जो छत्ता होता है, बिल्कुल उसी तरह का आपको ये स्ट्रक्चर नजर आएगा. So these are some of the features that are relatively smaller scale as compared to the dunes, and as compared to the flat-lying desert areas. Deserts are very interesting, and however, the thing that is alarming, that due to rise in temperatures, the deserts are expanding from their usual sizes, and as a result of that, the size of the deserts all over the world is increasing. And we have the, especially like the Sahara Desert, now it is moving into 6 to 7 countries in Africa, and now they are trying to make a wall. They call it as a desert wall. So they are trying to plant trees along its way, so that they can stop the progress of the desert, because desertification means that you don't have clay size material in your soil, and it is mostly like the sand size material that is left. And if you don't have clay size materials, it means you cannot have agriculture and other things like that. And normally we think that deserts are all filled with sand, but sometimes it is not the sand. It also can be rocky, and they can also be very dry lands that don't have precipitation like 25 centimeters of 25 centimeters of rain every year. We classify them as the deserts. Here we have some of the features, also additional features you can say. We call them as sand ripple and sand fall. Sometime you see videos on YouTube and people they say, okay, we have a river in Saudi Arabia that is of sand river. So actually, this is not the river, but it is actually a breakage. Like for example, if the wind is blowing in this way and the sand that is moving in that place, there is sudden break, just like जैसे water के अंदर एक break आ जाती है. We have a waterfall, and similarly we call this as a sandfall or a grainfall, and it can have a variety of shapes, and it is an example of mass wasting. Maybe you guys have done mass wasting, in which we move a bigger chunk of rock from one place to another, and over the time it looks like a waterfall, but actually it is made up of sand. Similarly, sand ripples, you can see here fine sand dunes or very fine sand ripples that are low lying, and however they can extend until kilometers. It is also due to the movement of slow movement of sand particles. The other parts of the talk I have already covered in the previous class about the large scale dunes and other features. If you guys have any questions related to